Can you believe that my Mustang Dark Horse already has over 10,000 miles? I've only owned this car for about 6 months, driven it pretty much across the entirety of the country already, and today we're actually here at Pikes Peak Highway, the famous race to the clouds. We're going to be driving up to the top, up to the summit with both of the Shmeemobiles. But this thing, well, I want to give you a bit of an update. Some of the things that have happened, some of the things I've learned about it, some of the things that have got better with time as well, because this must be one of the highest mileage customer Dark Horses in the entire world, and today we're going to be driving it with the GT up Pikes Peak. If you're not familiar with Pikes Peak, we have 156 corners, and it's a place I actually visited for the first time about 3 years ago with another of my Fords, with the Shelby GT500, and we're back again, coincidentally, with 2 more Ford Shmeemobiles. That's quite funny. Out of all of my collection, it's the 3 Fords that have been here up to Pikes Peak. So today I want to give you a complete rundown on this thing. Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a 10,000 mile update with the Ford Mustang Dark Horse. Let's kick off with a recap of what this car has done to date, because remember, I don't even live in this country. To have driven 10,000 miles in half a year with it, when just visiting here, has meant we spent a lot of time in this thing, a lot of time driving. But it began with collection day at Pat Milliken Ford in Detroit, Michigan. I'd met the Pat Milliken guys as they delivered the most new Ford GTs of any dealer in the entire country, so chose to order this up there, chose to collect it in the hometown of Ford as well. So after taking delivery, we loaded it up into the trailer to send it to Ceramic Pro in Chicago, to the elite dealer for the installation of Ceramic Pro's Curvature paint protection film. Knowing there were going to be a lot of miles ahead, obviously getting that right from the very beginning is absolutely critical to make sure the car is completely protected, as we then embarked on a 4,000 mile adventure via Florida all the way to Las Vegas, Nevada to get this car on the stand at SEMA. It was a long old slog in a very short period of time, and we had a lot of fun along the way, including a stop at Hennessy in Texas, where the rear tires didn't exactly last all that long. Smoked them up, totally destroyed them, had a lot of fun with it though, and that's at the end of the day what this is all about. After SEMA, we had the Zenvo there as well and set off for the convoy with the Dark Horse, a bit as the luggage car, to head up to visit the Stradman, in fact convoying with James along the way. And again, we got another puncture and we had to deal with that in Utah. We then went from there to Velocity Invitational. I got to do some laps in the Ford GT Mark IV, which was absolutely mega, and then took it down for storage with my friends at Hyper Society, Hyper NFT, down in Orange County. Came back out, picked it up and took it to San Diego to visit Ceramic Pro there for the installation of the window tint, and that, I have to say, has made a big difference in terms of keeping the car cool when we've had it out in Texas, because we took it also onwards to Arizona for the auctions. Donald Trump's ex-Diablo went across the block, all sorts of drama, and even drove it at Apex Club out at the private motorsports venue to really put the power down, my first track outing with it. Fast forward, and then my friend Cody, CJN Photography, then drove it all the way from there over to Texas to join us, ready for some fun with the GT1 Sports Club, the Exotics Network and Hypercar Invitational at Circuit of the Americas, to drive, well, both of these cars in anger. But really, the first time I properly gelled with this on track, this thing was absolutely mega. The Ford GT is a given. That's always going to be crazy fun. This, however, really, really impressed me. We've had a few sets of tyres, and we are now very close to needing another set of tyres. It's part and parcel of the fun, but we're now here in Colorado. We've driven up from Texas, up via Hoovie's garage in Kansas. We've come over to Colorado to go drive up Pikes Peak. That's what today's about, and to update you a little bit more on this car as we go. One thing that I had shown you before but hadn't really gone into is that we did get a nasty screen chip here, bit of a spider web out from it. We got that filled, well, Cody arranged that in Arizona, and we've got another one about, well, less than an inch. What, 1.5 centimeters right above it that's happened since, and now a bit of a fingerprint, but hey, that's life. However, the car is generally in pretty good shape. Nothing's been damaged or gone wrong other than tires and consumables, right? We've not curbed any wheels, we've not got any major stone chips to the front. That's exactly why you use paint protection film. Everything's looking nice, it's looking tidy. We had to get it cleaned up to get all of the rubber marks from the track day off it. I haven't got as far as changing my tag, my plate, and I have always been quite amused by the fact that it says that on the back, which is an unusual one that the Florida DMV decided to issue to me, but that is what I ended up with. That's what we've got. And of course, this follows doing these adventures with the GT500. I went for the Dark Horse because of how much I enjoyed the Mustang drive. Having a car that's comfortable, well equipped, makes an amazing sound. I've beaten about the bush with this, but a 500 horsepower, 5-litre, naturally aspirated V8 and a 6-speed manual, driving the rear wheels in 2024. Mega combo, and that's what I really like the most. I think the fact that we've got a supercar, yet that's the one that I'm going to say sounds better. Don't get me wrong, the Quicksilver LM style exhaust is mega, but this sounds pure anger. Let's come through though, get this started, because we are going to go for this drive. We're already at altitude, so apologies for being slightly out of breath today, but let me swing inside here because magic button is right here and we can kick this into action. Yeah. Right, let's get ready to go drive up that way, go explore Pikes Peak. Before we go anywhere, don't forget that you can still get from the Cheers by Shmee 150 shop our Mustang Dark Horse t-shirt and other designs. Make sure to check those out. This, of course, goes with exactly what we're doing. The American muscle car, here on a tour in America. Anyway, yeah, a few more things to talk about, but don't forget to check that out. The link is down below. You might notice that on the screen in front of me, it says oil change required. The car has reached 10,000 miles, it's a variable servicing schedule, and it is booked for a couple of days' time from now, before it's going to be parked up when we leave the country. Unfortunately, we have to sit in a bit of a traffic jam here. That's not really what we wanted, but it's going to be busy. It's actually a kind of holiday time here in the United States, and yeah, just going to have to do what we're going to do, and I think it's going to be quite a slow pace up. But nonetheless, being here and getting some amazing photos is what today is about with both of these cars. The weather is a little bit nicer than the last time we were here at the toll booth, so unsurprisingly this is taking a very long time to get through and make some progress. One thing I will say while we're sitting here though is that the infotainment system in here, which has your wireless Android Auto and CarPlay and stuff, which I've spoken about before, I swear crashes less now than it used to. I imagine there have been some updates, maybe some over-the-air stuff, I'm not entirely sure, but this used to frequently just die and break and need to be effectively restarted, and now it only does it every now and then, not all the time. So that's something that's getting a little bit better. This is really slow. I don't recommend coming here on a busy day. Oh well, it is what it is. We can't change it now. We are through, and they have very kindly made it possible to get up today because it's super busy, as you can see. So effectively, look up there. Look how steep this place is. Of course, no chem block style rally shenanigans today. This actually used to be a dirt road up here. It's been tarmacked in sections and changed over time, and I'm curious how much it might have changed since I was actually last driving up. But at the moment, it feels quite exciting to have gone from COTA, Circuit of the Americas, the United States F1 Grand Prix track, to Pikes Peak. That's what this leg of the tour was kind of about in my mind. And we can't be here in Colorado and not come and drive here. Just definitely, it's a case where, okay, that's 8,000 feet, 2,400 meters already. We're going up another 6,000 feet, another 1,900 meters. This is where you have to watch yourself because you get kind of lightheaded up there. And in fact, for cars, especially twin turbo cars, it doesn't help so much having lighter, thinner, low pressure air like this. Imagine if you could just drive as fast as you want here. There are just all of these sketchy corners with no barriers. So yeah, we kind of got to watch that. Just enjoy the gears, enjoy the road, enjoy a little bit of acceleration between each of the corners, and go see some amazing views at the top. Unknowingly, we have actually crossed the start line. So being tourists, we are now on the race to the clouds at 30 miles per hour. So we're not really here racing up, but could you imagine blasting through here? I mean, the big hazard here is the fact that there are trees everywhere. If you go even slightly off here, you are in trouble. And then rocks, and then as we get further up, it's gonna get very sketchy off the sides of the road. But I guess that's the reason they keep the speed limit so low, which is kind of fair if you've seen the driving around here. The experiences we've had, yeah, definitely people sometimes are taking a little bit of liberties with it, and it gets interesting, we can say. This thing, however, first gear there, nice little crack, sounds nice. I'm not gonna lie, look at that view. How cool is that? the snow coming down from up at the top. So look at that crevice up at the top, the ridgeline over there. That's insane. We still have a couple of thousand feet to go. We've actually stopped here. I think we're about just under 3,000 feet from the top, just to have a quick break. Of course, it's got a lot colder, hence sweater comes out, hoodie comes out. But one thing to talk about with this, gas mileage, fuel economy, gas economy. The figures I've tracked from day one, I've kept a log for the entirety of the car. In fact, I do for all of my cars because I find this quite interesting. Have averaged UK MPG, which is slightly different to US, 20.8 miles per gallon, which is 17.3 US. Now, you don't expect good fuel economy on a long run from a naturally aspirated V8 and a kind of slightly old school platform and setup, but in the modern era, that's not great, to be honest. It's not what it's all about, but it's just something that I like thinking about, like knowing about. And to be honest, what's been most interesting with both of these is that when we have a long cruise, like just chilling on the highways, taking it easy, they're nearly identical. That's like 0.05 mpg better. So every fill up is nearly exactly the same in terms of gallons and in terms of price. But when you're around town and there's more starting and stopping, interestingly, the GT is massively better, like 10 to 15% better, which I presume is down to being lighter, less weight. The gearbox, you don't hold it in first gear quite so often. But anyway, that's just a small thing. We do still have a little bit more to go from here to the top though, so let's hop back in and get cracking on, go find some nice views. That's pretty cool. I'm not sure if you can see with the zoom, but there are actually some skiers all the way over there coming down that steep chute. There's actually quite a few ski tracks on there. That's so cool. In fact, right up in front of us as well, there's a whole army of people up there, like maybe 6-7 people coming down that face. Oh, that's actually epic. That's really cool. Hadn't even crossed my mind that you could come up here to ski. At this time of year as well, it's long after the ski season. I've actually got a bit of envy there. I wouldn't mind having a pair of skis and just pulling out, jumping out, and figuring out how to get back to the car later on. Although I guess if you leave the car down at the bottom, you can get the shuttle bus up. They have these school buses running up and down the hill. That's really cool. What a fun way to do it. I love it. Becomes a ski resort, and the entry tickets are less expensive than most ski resorts, especially here in North America. I actually remember this corner in front of us from being here with the GT500 and actually taking a picture right as we go around this next hairpin. It is quite funny going around here though, all incredibly slowly. Obviously some melting snow now, but yeah, we posed the Shelby just there, back when we were here before. Little bit of V8, Raptor coming down. What a view, what a view over the valley. We found another traffic jam, but this is the top, the new visitor centre. This wasn't here when we came up last time. That's been built since. But as you can see, it is kind of busy, kind of congested. I think we want to go that way, but I'm a little bit confused about how this works in just sitting in this queue to get to the top. Yeah, we've literally chosen the worst time to come here. But where we're about to go, the view is going to be spectacular, I imagine. It is super congested up here. Quick driver swap though for the way down. Obviously we will continue with the Dark Horse, but as you can see, we are somewhere up at the very top, and I apologize if it's kind of windy here, but the only other place we could go to park was driving over this. I didn't really fancy that in the Dark Horse and the GT. I figured we might get stuck. So better to not do it, given both cars are on Sport Cut 2s. Wow, I'm lightheaded up here. This is insane. Come and look at the view though. I'm just gonna wander over. Probably shouldn't have left my car where I have, but just for a moment. Look at this, look at this. What a place, what a place. This is unbelievable. Right, back to the car we go. Now we head down. So of course, kind of watch the brakes, because it's a long way, very steep slope, but we'll try and find somewhere to stop with a view that kind of beats the top, because it was way too busy up there, far too congested to get any kind of cool photo, but we'll find something. Switch back, I'll have to switch back. Well, we found a spot over there shooting the GTs, just disappeared behind that other car. Obviously it's quite busy up here, quite hard to get the brake and get the gap, but the view that way is yeah, not bad, hey? And there's another pretty special view over that side. Lots of hikers, lots of drivers, lots of walkers, lots of everything, and an angry Mustang. moved down to this spot because this is exactly where the GT500 and the FF were parked, right on this corner. Although I tell you what, there was nowhere nearly as much snow here, I don't think, if my memory serves me correctly. And it's all kind of changed a little bit. So shooting the GT with that backdrop, I mean, look at that. Look at that. As views go, welcome to colourful Colorado is what they say. And I mean, that is it in a nutshell. We might be under a cloud right now, not in the sunshine, but that is absolutely incredible. As is this. One fun thing is that we're now going to follow the GT down, which, to be honest, I don't often do. Cody and Brad have been driving that. Bit of a swap around from one car to another. Tell you what though, it's cold outside. Got down to 1 degree Celsius, which is 34 Fahrenheit, just a couple of degrees warmer now, but it's still, well, 4 degrees in Celsius here. And yeah, fingers are definitely feeling it, as is the low air pressure. But we actually need to be somewhere quite soon, and time is running against us. So I think from here, it's going to be a cruise on down and straight onwards. Maybe a quick pause, but we do not have much time to spare when we get down here. The one good thing about following somebody who's going literally a snail's pace, we're going about 15 miles an hour down the hill. It's a 30 mile an hour zone. I changed it a little bit, but this bit's 30, is that you can soak in the view. You can take in the view. And even down here where it's now 13 degrees Celsius, we actually still have some snow outside there, which is kind of pretty. It's just really, really beautiful driving down here. And it's really, really cool to follow that thing, to see that thing on the road. I've enjoyed that a lot. I mean, look at those views. I'm not sure if you can see like down to the lake and stuff on the video, but obviously the mountainscape across in front of us, but now so different to how it looked up at the top. Just a completely different type of view with this spaghetti tarmac, as I often like to say. The only problem is that you cannot bomb it up here. It would be so much fun to drive this like a mountain pass in Italy, but I do fully understand why, with the kinds of cars and drivers out here, they can't allow that. It would be absolute pandemonium, and safety first and all that jazz. Anyways, yeah, I'd like to be going at least the speed limit, you know, at least like a little bit quicker. Hey, how kind of him. That's very nice. Oh, the GT just looks so cool as it moves. The way it dips from side to side. Just keep eyes on that thing. Absolutely mega down a road like this. Looks so good. We've gone beyond the bottom of the race to the clouds start point again, but something quite fun that I never mentioned, given we're here with a couple of Fords, is that Ford ran their super van up here, the super van 4.2, which is like the 1,500 horsepower, maybe it's 1,400 horsepower literal van up this hill, up these roads, which is kind of cool. It's kind of fun that they do that type of thing. And over the years, there have been so many different concept-y type things that have come up here, like Bentley have done a few. In fact, I've even filmed some of the cars that Bentley have used up this famous place. And yeah, why not? The only problem is it's now back to 20-something degrees, and I'm wishing I wasn't wearing a hoodie at the moment. But hey, it is what it is. We'll probably be swapping again or stopping again soon for a fuel fill up, and we'll see where it takes us as we actually get back now towards the booths. This is literally at the bottom. This is our exit from the whole fun of going up there. Well, that was a nice little crack out of this. It is funny though, because people just meander super slowly around here, like super slowly. Like if you drove like this in Italy, you just have people overtaking you around blind corners and beeping and just chaos, all sorts of chaos. Anyway, it's mission success. Gosh, there's still a lot of people going up for the day. Mission success, we are done, we are out, we are heading onwards where today's journey takes us. There are still more things I want to talk about with this though. Things I like, things I'm not the biggest fan of, and upgrades. We need to talk upgrades. This road surface is a good time to talk about something I kind of like but kind of get frustrated by. Because this car has this incredibly aggressive setup, right? The Dark Horse handling pack gives you a stiffer ride, and it also gives you wider wheels and therefore tyres. And you have these 305 wide fronts. As soon as you have a road like this that's pretty rutted and chopped up, I am being grabbed and pulled left to right like you wouldn't believe. The GT500 did it similarly, and Obviously, in these kind of circumstances, it's kind of annoying because you've got to be really gripping the steering wheel and holding it tight all the time, because otherwise it's just going to end up pinging you out to one side. But on the other hand, what I was going to say I really like about the car is that it's a great all-round usable, drivable car. It's a great car for just journeys like we're doing now. You know, we've got the next 80 odd miles an hour sitting on the highway, taking it easy. And that's something that I really enjoyed about the GT500. Even though it's a very track-orientated car, and same with the GT Black series, it's still really good to just use and just drive and just live with. Basically, it just kind of works. You know, we've got 10,500 miles without a hitch. So I like using a car for this type of trip, an adventure, road trip type thing, that you know you can basically rely on. You know it's just gonna be good. AC works really well. Everything's super nice. Everything's just kind of how you want slash need slash can make the most of it on a road trip. So I like it, but I don't like how grabby it is. It's smoothened out now, thankfully. And when it does smoothen out, it works totally fine. It's only when you're really in the ruts that it becomes a big problem. But in those kind of ruts, even the GT holds like better in its lane. It keeps more, there we go, just getting pulled everywhere again a little bit. Just something that I'm acutely aware of when driving this car as they come cruising past. Look at that thing in the sunshine. Wait, window down, window down. Oh yeah. Quick little separation of paths. These guys are off with the Dark Horse, so we will catch back up with that later, because it's got some luggage in it which needs to go to the airport, which means we've swapped and we're going to go in the GT, which is over there. The fill-ups we just did, by the way, that did 10.3 US gallons. This did 10.7. So again, like I said, pretty spectacularly close. Anyway, I need to figure out exactly how we're doing this now, but the car's gone somewhere and we're taking this one. Jump ahead. Both cars are back together in a basically deserted parking garage. Anyway, I want to show you something that I mentioned before frustrates me with the Dark Horse. And the more that we've driven it, the more that we've used it, the more, to be honest, it's a little bit annoying. And this doesn't make a huge amount of sense. But basically, with the Recaro seats, with the higher side bolster and the positioning of the steering wheel, and I don't know why this isn't a problem in the GT500, but it isn't. What this means is that that gap here is actually quite a squeeze to get through, and you scrape on here every single time. And this actually already has a couple of scratches in the leather of the steering wheel, probably stuff that can be rescued. You can't actually see because it's so dark. In fact, it's really minor. But every time you step in, basically you end up turning the wheel because you kind of catch it with your leg, which is kind of funny, but it is what it is. I mean, to literally try and explain this, like you squeeze in here and there just isn't room. You kind of catch your trousers on there as you step in. That's basically life. Anyway, while I'm down here, I'm going to pop that because that's going to link us to what we do next. While I am here, I'm going to remove the Summit Pass for driving up Pikes Peak, because of course we're not going to need that again. Actually, we've probably got one in both cars. I'll sort that out in a moment. Talking upgrades then, because the thing I've learned this trip with the Dark Horse is that this as it is could easily handle a whole lot more power. The way that this thing gripped driving it at Kota, the way that it performs, if you were to throw in a couple of hundred extra horsepower, it wouldn't be a problem. There are some cars you drive and you're just thinking if you gave this car more power, it would be completely out of sorts. This is one where if we were to go to Hennessy, as we talked about when we were there, and upgrade this and add their H850 package, including a supercharger to go on the top of the 5.0, it would be pretty wild. 850 horsepower out of this thing. That would be a lot of fun. There are also a ton of other upgrades you can do. The Ford Performance official upgrades that launched at SEMA, the exterior visual stuff, all sorts of different parts that you can add to the engine bay, to the outside, and yeah, just interesting to look at this stuff sometimes. But that is quite a beastly power plant, and while we can still enjoy the V8, we absolutely need to still enjoy the V8. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, that did close. That's quite gentle and quite unusual, because in the GT500 you have to thwack it down to get it to shut properly. The other topic is, do we change how it looks? Do we do a wrap over the top of the PPF, or do we keep it looking how it does, this Stormtrooper black and white look, which I think is seriously aggressive, albeit not very normally my kind of choice. I normally go for bright and bold colors. So there are lots of different things, ideas, and we're kind of at that time now, you know, done 10,500 miles, right? So it's fully run in, it's been fully pushed properly, and you know you've got through any potential issues. I do need, as I mentioned, to get some tires soon. They're not completely gone, but the thing with the setup, it's so aggressive that you need to check the inside edges of these, and the inside edges in mil are about 2.5 millimeters, which for a Sport Cup 2 that only has about 5.5 to begin with, that's not finished. It's not at the 1.6 mil wear indicator like game over, well, 2 mil wear indicator, but 1.6 where it'd be finished. It's got a tiny bit left. Anyways, upgrades, we shall see. It's something to think about when we get back out here to the US with this for the next part of this whole adventure. Then as road trip cars go, it's just been immensely practical, usable. We've had a lot of fun with it. I am going to just quickly mention again, don't forget, we do have the Mustang Dark Horse design in the Cheers by Shmi on 50 shop, which links into all of the fun that we've been having with this car out here in the United States. But that's not the end, because there are, of course, more plans with this. I just wanted to do this kind of update now that we're at 10,000 miles, because you learn a lot more about a car when you've driven it this much, especially in a relatively short period of time. Yes, of course, Cody drove it, well, about 1,000 of those miles, and to be honest, we've been splitting the mileage, so it's kind of a bit backwards and forwards. But that's when you start figuring out if there's something that really annoys you about a car, and I touched on that a little bit with the screen and what that was doing earlier, but to be honest, it's just a whole riot. It's a lot of fun to drive. It's a lot of car, even if the price tag is a step up from the previous models. And I guess it's interesting because where this kind of sits is a little bit where the Shelby GT500 was to the S550, the previous generation Mustang. This is kind of that new band, that new badge, that new positioning in the market. And having these two together has been a whole lot of fun, because without a support car, that would be a pretty useless road trip car. We wouldn't have been able to do the miles we have done, although I probably also wouldn't have a multi-$1,000 windscreen that I now need to replace, because that would have been in a Transporter. But I would have spent that much money on Transporters anyway. You win some, you lose some. Today, we have taken both of these up to Pikes Peak. It's been a whole lot of fun to go back there after 3 and a bit years since we were there with the GT500. But I'm gonna wrap this one up for there. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope you've enjoyed the update with the Ford Mustang Dark Horse. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Cheers.